The world's most wanted terrorist is on the other side of this wall. You're going through it in 3 seconds. Breacher sets the charge. You stack behind him. 4 operators. 2 a.m. A compound in a country you'll never name. The night is quiet. The guards have no idea. Satellites and drones have been watching this place for weeks. The intelligence is solid. He's in there. Boom. The wall disappears. You move before the dust settles. Your night vision cuts through the chaos. Debris, smoke, movement. First room. 2 men reaching for rifles. They don't reach them. Controlled pairs. 2 rounds each. Center mass. Down. You step over their bodies. You don't look. You don't think. You move. Second room. Empty. Clear. Move. Third room. There he is. The face on every intelligence briefing for 3 years. The man responsible for thousands of deaths. Embassy bombings. Market attacks, the recruitment of hundreds of young men into violence. He's reaching for something under his pillow. A weapon. A phone. A detonator. You don't know. You don't care. He never touches it. 2 rounds. The room goes quiet. Jackpot. 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 The code word that means the primary target is eliminated. The code word that ends a hunt that lasted years. The mission that launched 1,000 meetings, $1 billion in intelligence, and 6 months of planning is over in 47 seconds. You take photos for confirmation, face, identifying marks, everything they need. Your teammates collect the hard drives, the phones, the documents. Everything in this room is intelligence. Bag the body. He's coming with you. DNA confirmation. No doubt. Outside, the Night Stalker birds are already spooling up. The rotors had never fully stopped. They knew you'd be fast. 12 hours later, the president will announce the death. The world will celebrate. Analysts will appear on news channels to explain what this means. Politicians will claim credit. Your name will be mentioned nowhere. You'll be asleep in a tent, resting before the next one. You don't exist, but the bodies you leave behind do. You're already the best when they find you. That's the minimum requirement. Ranger Battalion, Green Berets, sometimes SEALs who cross over, years of deployments, combat experience that would fill books if you could write them, medals you never talk about, commendations that sit in drawers. But you've hit a ceiling. The missions are good, the teams are good. But you know there's another level. You've heard whispers. Everyone in Special Operations has heard of Delta, the unit, CAG, Combat Applications Group. 12 names for the same ghost. Army's Tier 1 unit. The operators who get sent when no one else can go. No uniforms. No conventional rules. No official existence. The budget is classified. The operations are classified. The membership is classified. People talk in whispers. I knew a guy who tried out. He won't say what happened. A buddy of mine went to selection. Never heard from him again. Some say they don't even exist. That it's a cover for CIA operations. A boogeyman to scare enemies. You know better. They're real. And you want in. The invitation comes on paper. Not email. Not a phone call. Paper in your mailbox. A date. A location, a list of things to bring. If you're interested in the most challenging assignment in the U.S. military, report to no signature, no letterhead, no return address, just coordinates. You could ignore it. Stay where you are. Keep doing what you're doing. But you know you can't. You can't live with yourself if you don't try. If you don't know if you're good enough, you show up. A room full of men like you. Rangers with combat scrolls. Green Berets with language skills. A few SEALs who want to switch branches. The best the Army has. The best the military has. Every one of them thinks they're ready. A man in civilian clothes stands at the front. No name tag, no rank. Just a presence that says he's been where you want to go. Selection will last approximately 30 days. Most of you won't finish. We won't tell you why you passed or failed. We won't tell you anything. If you quit, you'll be returned to your unit with no explanation. If you're removed, the same. This is your last chance to leave. After today, you're committed. He waits. The room is silent. No one leaves. Good. We begin tomorrow. Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The woods and hills that have broken men for decades. Selection isn't about strength. Everyone here is strong. Everyone can run. Everyone can lift. It's about finding out who you are when there's nothing left. When your body is destroyed and your mind is screaming and every cell in your body wants to quit, what do you do then? Phase 1. Physical destruction. Land navigation. Alone. A 40-pound ruck on your back. Then 50. Then 60. Point A to point B across mountains. At night. In the rain. Through terrain that doesn't appear on any map. No time hack given. Just move fast. You walk until they tell you to stop. Sometimes that's 12 hours. Sometimes 18. Sometimes you're not sure anymore. Men drop out every day. Bad knees that finally give. Bad navigation that gets them lost for good. Bad decisions when exhaustion clouds judgment. They ring a bell and they're gone. You never see them again. You never hear what happened. The long walk is the finale of phase 1. 40 miles. 65-pound ruck. Mountains. No time limit given. Just finish or don't. You walk until your feet bleed through your boots. You walk until your mind screams to stop. You walk until you forget you're walking. Some in 24. Some are still walking when the sun comes up twice. Some never finish. They collapse. They quit. They disappear. You finish. You don't remember the last few hours. Your body was moving on something deeper than thought. Your feet are destroyed. Blisters on top of blisters. Toenails black and falling off, blood caked in your boots. You don't care. You finished. That's all that matters. Later, you'll learn what the long walk really measures. Not physical fitness. Everyone here is fit. It measures what you do when your body is screaming to stop and your mind is telling you there's no point. When every logical reason says quit and something else says keep going, the men who finish are the men who have that something else. The thing that doesn't have a name but makes all the difference. Phase 2, psychological evaluation. You thought the walking was the test. It was just the filter. Now come the psychologists. Days of interviews in small rooms. Why do you want this? Tell me about your childhood. What do you regret? They're looking for something. Stability, intelligence, the ability to make decisions when everything is wrong. They're also looking for red flags. Guys who will crack under pressure. Guys who can't be trusted with classified operations. Guys who might go rogue. You answer honestly. You don't know what the right answers are. You just tell the truth. Phase 3, the stress phase. Sleep deprivation, constant harassment, decision-making exercises where every answer seems wrong. They're simulating the worst case. Captured behind enemy lines, interrogated by experts, alone with no support coming. You can't prepare for this, you just survive it. You keep your mouth shut, you give nothing. The selection ends without warning. You wait, days, no feedback, no indication of pass or fail. Then a list is posted, your name is on it, no celebration, just report to this location tomorrow. 90% of the men who started are gone, washed out or quit. You're through. Operator's training course, 6 months of becoming what Delta needs. You thought you knew how to shoot. You were wrong. You fire more rounds in 6 months than most soldiers fire in a career. Thousands of rounds a day. Until the weapon is an extension of your body, the killing house. A multi-storied building full of targets and hostages. You clear it over and over. You learn to put 2 rounds in a head-sized target while moving. In the dark, with your heart rate at 180, with flash bangs going off, with smoke filling the room. You learn to identify threats in fractions of a second. Weapon or no weapon. Shoot or don't shoot. Failure means removal. There's no second chance on a missed shot. In the real world, a missed shot means a dead hostage or a dead teammate. You don't miss. The shooting becomes instinctive. You don't aim consciously anymore. You see threat, you engage threat. The rounds go where they need to go. You shoot left-handed as well as right-handed. You shoot with injured hands. You shoot in gas masks. You shoot while moving, while falling, while bleeding. You become the weapon. The rifle is just an extension of it. But you're not just a shooter. You're a spy who can fight. Tradecraft. The skills of espionage, surveillance. How to watch a target without being seen. How to blend into a crowd. How to become invisible. Counter-surveillance. How to know if you're being watched. How to lose a tail. How to spot the people trying to spot you. Picking locks. Building explosive charges. Defeating alarm systems. Cover identities, how to become someone else, how to live a legend, how to answer questions you should know the answer to. Foreign languages, enough to pass in 12 countries, enough to understand what they're saying about you. You learn to be invisible before you become deadly. Everyone in Delta can shoot, everyone can fight, but everyone also specializes. Assaulters, the door kickers, first through the breach, the ones who absorb the initial violence. Snipers, long-range precision, Overwatch, days of waiting for one shot, one moment, one chance, breachers, explosives, entry points, making walls disappear, making doors cease to exist. Recce, reconnaissance, eyes on target for days before the assault, living in shadows, gathering the intelligence that makes the mission possible. You find your place, your specialty, the thing you're best at. Some guys are natural breachers. They understand explosives the way musicians understand instruments. They can blow a door and leave the frame standing. They can cut a hole in a wall exactly where it needs to be. Some guys are born snipers, patient, precise, willing to lie in position for days, waiting for one moment, one shot, one chance. Some guys are assaulters. First through the door, the ones who absorb the initial violence and create space for everyone else. You find your place, you train your specialty until it's instinct. But you also train everything else. Because in the field, you might have to do anything. The breacher might go down. The sniper might be needed on the stack. Everyone does everything, even if they specialize. You train with everyone you'll work with. Night Stalkers who'll fly you in. ISA who'll find the targets. CIA who'll provide the intelligence. You learn their language, their methods, their capabilities. By the end of OTC, you're not just an operator. You're part of a machine, a system designed to find and eliminate the nation's enemies. You understand now why selection was so brutal, why they washed out 90% of candidates. It wasn't cruelty, it was necessity. The missions you'll run require absolute trust. The man next to you has to be capable in any situation. If there's any doubt, people die. Selection removes the doubt. If you're here, you've proven yourself. If someone else is here, they've proven themselves too. That's why the culture works. That's why rank doesn't matter. Everyone has already passed the same impossible test. You've earned the right to be here. Everyone has. The graduation is nothing. No ceremony. No fanfare. No family watching. Just a new ID card. Access to a classified compound. A locker with no name on it. You're Delta now. For real. The compound. Fort Bragg. Inside the fence of a fence of a fence. They call it Wally World because nothing about it is official. The sign outside says something boring. The buildings look abandoned from the road. Inside, it's the most advanced special operations training facility in the world. Shooting ranges that replicate any environment. Kill houses that can be reconfigured overnight. Classrooms with intelligence feeds from every agency. The structure is simple. Squadrons. A, B, C, D. Each has its own personality, its own focus, its own history. Troops within squadrons. Teams within troops. You're assigned based on skills and needs. Assaulter, sniper, breacher. Whatever the unit needs right now. The culture is unlike anything else in the military. No uniforms, jeans and t-shirts in the compound, beards if you want them, long hair if the mission requires it. No saluting, first names only. The officer-enlisted divide that defines the rest of the army barely exists here. What matters is competence, results. Can you do the job when it matters? The hierarchy is flat. The newest guy can tell the commanding officer he's wrong. If he's right, he's right. You're surrounded by the best soldiers on Earth, and they expect you to keep up. Every day, the gear is whatever you need. Any weapon you want, any equipment you need. Custom rifles built to your specifications. Experimental optics that don't exist anywhere else. Budget that never seems to run out. If you need something for a mission, you get it. You test things here that won't reach regular units for a decade. Technology that's officially still in development. The reality is this: you're a government weapon. Aimed at the nation's worst enemies, no rules of engagement except accomplish the mission and don't get caught. You work in places the US isn't supposed to be, doing things the US doesn't admit to doing. If you die, the cover story is already written. Training accident, natural causes, whatever works. Your family will get a flag and a lie. You accept this. Everyone here accepts it. You signed up knowing the deal. But accepting it intellectually and living it are different things. You write letters, just in case. Letters your wife might read someday. Letters explaining nothing and everything. I did things I can't tell you about. I did them because they needed to be done. I hope you understand. You hope she never has to read them. But they exist, just in case. The deployment comes faster than you expected. Iraq, or Afghanistan, or somewhere you'll never name. Your squadron rotates into theater. Months of operations ahead. The first target is a mid-level commander. Not famous, not on the news, but connected. Intel says he knows where the big fish are. He has information he needs to be captured. Alive. The raid happens at 2 a.m. 4 helicopters. Your team on one. Inserted offset. 2 miles from target. Silent approach through desert. That all looks the same. The compound appears through night vision. Walls, buildings, guards on the roof, dogs in the yard. The snipers engage first. 2 guards drop without a sound. Suppress rifles from 400 meters. You breach the main gate. Flashbangs into the courtyard. Controlled chaos. The clearance is exactly like the killing house, except these targets shoot back. A man appears in a doorway with an AK. Your training takes over. 2 rounds. He drops. You don't think. You don't feel. You move. Second room. A woman and children. You secure them. Move them to a corner. They're not the target. Third room, fourth room. Target acquired. He's cowering behind a bed, trying to surrender. Hands up, begging. You secure him, flex cuffs, hood over his head. Alive as ordered. The extraction takes 4 minutes. The helicopters are waiting. You load the prisoner. You load the bodies for identification. On the flight back, you look at your hands. Steady. You just killed 2 people. Maybe 3. The count is unclear. You feel nothing. Is that wrong? Is that how it's supposed to feel? You don't know. You don't ask. You debrief and you sleep. You don't think about the men you killed that night. Not right away. That comes later, in quieter moments. You think about the mission. What went right? What could have gone wrong? How to be better next time. 3 weeks later, based on what this man revealed under interrogation, the big fish is killed. An airstrike on a compound in a different country. You see the intelligence report. You see the chain of events. Your raid led to information that led to surveillance, that led to a Hellfire missile. Your name is on nothing. You were never there, but you started the chain that ended him. That's what success looks like in this world. Anonymous, deniable. Someone else gets the credit. You get the knowledge that it worked. You'd think it would feel empty. Sometimes it does. But mostly it feels like the job. You're not here for recognition. You're here for results. The results are all that matter. Months turn into years. Deployments blur together. You're not counting missions anymore. You're counting rotations. 3rd deployment. 4th. 5th. The tempo in hot periods is relentless. 3, 4 targets a night. Sleep for a few hours. Plan. Brief. Execute. Repeat. The adrenaline stops spiking. Your heart rate stays calm during the breach. This is just work now. Violent, precise, effective work. Kills capture raids. High-value targets. In and out in minutes. Bodies or prisoners, depending on the order. Some nights you're told to capture. Some nights you're told to eliminate. You do what you're told. Hostage rescue. Civilians held by terrorists. Zero margin for error. Every hostage must live. Every captor must die. The window is seconds. The consequences of failure are on television. You've done these. The relief on the hostage's face when they realize they're safe. That's the best feeling in the job. You remember a journalist, held for 8 months, convinced she was going to die every single day. You came through the door at 3 a.m. She was in the corner blindfolded. When you took the blindfold off, she didn't believe it at first. Couldn't process that she was safe. Then she started crying. Not sobbing. Just tears rolling down her face. While she stared at you like you weren't real. I got you. You're going home. A month later, she wrote a letter to the soldiers who saved me. It made its way to the compound. You read it alone. She talked about hope, about giving up, about the moment the door exploded and everything changed. She'll never know your name, but you have her letter. In a drawer, with the others. Direct action, destroying infrastructure, weapons caches, bomb factories, IED manufacturing facilities. Sometimes you're not there for people. You're there for things. You blow them up and leave. Singleton ops, alone in a foreign city, no backup, no support. Gathering intel, meeting an asset, eliminating a target that requires a light footprint. These are the loneliest missions. Just you and your training and the knowledge that if it goes wrong, no one's coming. You've done singletons, walked into cities where Americans aren't welcome, sat in cafes across from men who would kill you if they knew what you were. You've passed documents and dead drops, met assets in hotel rooms, eliminated targets who thought they were safe in their homes. The cover has to be perfect, the accent, the documents, the backstory. One mistake and you're captured or dead. The adrenaline is different on singletons. Sustained, hours of being switched on, looking for threats, playing a role. When it's over, when you're extracted, the crash is brutal. You sleep for days. The methodology is always the same. Speed, surprise, violence of action. You're in the target building before they know you're in the country, before they know you exist. The average raid lasts 15 minutes. Most of that is clearance and sensitive site exploitation, collecting the phones and hard drives and documents. The killing is over in seconds, sometimes less. You lose teammates. It happens. IEDs that weren't detected, ambushes that were better planned than expected, bad luck that puts someone in the wrong place at the wrong moment. You mourn fast. You keep working. The mission doesn't stop for grief. The names stay with you. The faces stay with you. But you compartmentalize. You keep moving. There's always another target, another mission, another chance to make the losses. Means something. You tell yourself that. You have to tell yourself that. The brotherhood is what keeps you going. The guys to your left and right. The men who would die for you. The men you would die for. When a teammate falls, you don't just lose a colleague, you lose a brother, someone who understood the life in a way no one else can. You drink to them, you remember them, and then you go back to work, because that's what they would have done, because that's what the mission requires, because stopping means their deaths meant nothing. This is the one that defines everything, a name everyone knows. International terrorist, mastermind behind attacks that killed thousands. The face on every briefing for years, the intelligence community has been hunting him for a decade. Now they've found him. The briefing comes from the top. The National Security Council, the president, is watching. Personally, foreign country, hostile government that doesn't know we're coming. If this goes wrong, it's an act of war. Diplomatic catastrophe. American operators captured or killed on foreign soil. No backup, no rescue if it goes wrong. Success or death. Your squadron is selected, a month of preparation, a full-scale replica of the compound built at a classified location. You walk through it 100 times. Every angle, every contingency, every possible scenario. What if there are children? What if he's not there? What if there's more security than expected? Every problem is anticipated. Every solution is rehearsed. The flight is 90 minutes over hostile territory. Modified stealth helicopters that don't exist in any inventory. Low altitude. Radio silence. Invisible to radar. You've never been this focused in your life. Years of training, hundreds of missions, all leading to this moment. The approach looks perfect. Then one helicopter goes down hard, mechanical failure. Tail rotor clips a wall. The bird spins and crashes inside the compound. The plan is already dead. Months of rehearsal mean nothing. You adapt. Everyone survives the crash. That's the first miracle. You assault anyway. The compound is larger than expected. More people than expected. You clear room by room. Women and children move to safety. Combatants engaged. Third floor, last room. He's there. Older than the photos. Reaching for something. He doesn't reach it. Jackpot. The word echoes through the building. Through the radios. Up the chain of command. In the White House Situation Room, people who have been holding their breath for 90 minutes finally exhale. Here, in the room, you work. Photos for confirmation. Identification of the body. Collection of everything. Phones, computers, hard drives, documents. This room is an intelligence goldmine. Years of planning. Names of operatives. Future attack plans. All of it captured in the moments after the kill. DNA confirmation will take hours. But you know, everyone knows. The face matches, the height matches, everything matches. You carry the body downstairs. He's heavier than you expected. Deadweight always is. The helicopter that crashed is destroyed. Thermite charges that burn through everything. Classified technology reduced to slag. No evidence left. You fly home on the remaining birds. Pressed together knowing the world is about to change. The flight is quiet. Everyone is processing. The mission they've rehearsed for months. The crash. The adaptation. The success. Someone makes a joke. Gallows humor. Everyone laughs harder than the joke deserves. The tension breaking. You land at a base that doesn't exist. Debrief that lasts hours. Every detail recorded. Every decision analyzed. Then you sleep. The deepest sleep you've had in months. Years of hunting. One night of success. By morning, the president is speaking. The news is everywhere. Everyone has an opinion. The talking heads analyze what it means. The politicians claim credit. The historians start writing their books. You watch for a few minutes, then you turn it off. They don't know. They'll never know. The speech talks about American forces. The movies will invent characters. None of them will be you. None of them will be real. And that's fine. That's the job. That's what you signed up for. Your name is nowhere. You don't exist. You never did. Years pass. The missions blur. The faces stack up. You're not the same person who showed up to selection. That person doesn't exist anymore. The physical toll is real. Blown eardrums from breaching charges. The ringing never stops. Bad knees from hard landings and heavy rooks. Stairs are a challenge now. Scars you don't explain. Injuries that don't appear in any medical record. Wounds treated by docs who don't file paperwork. You're 38, but your body is 60. Maybe older. The mental toll is worse. The faces. All the faces. Enemies you've killed. Hostages you've saved. Teammates you've lost. The rooms you've cleared play on loop when you close your eyes. The moment before the breach. The moment after. You drink more than you should. Sleep less than you need. The nightmares don't stop. The VA doesn't have a category for what you've done. PTSD from classified operations you can't discuss with any therapist. You try therapy once. The therapist asks about your service. You can't answer. She asks about specific incidents. Classified. She asks about the source of your trauma. Can't say. Eventually, she suggests you might benefit from someone with clearance. Someone inside the community. But those people are busy. There aren't many of them. So you cope. The way all the guys cope. You run. You lift. You exhaust your body so your mind will be quiet. You drink. Not too much, but enough. Enough to sleep. You find hobbies that require focus. Things that occupy the brain so it can't wander to the dark places. You talk to the guys. The ones who understand. Late nights at the compound. No details. Just knowing someone else gets it. It's not a healthy system, but it's the system you have. Your family paid the price. Divorced by year 5. She couldn't handle the silence. The deployments that lasted months. The man who came home. Different. Every time. You don't blame her. You couldn't explain. You still can't. Kids who know you as the ghost who appears and disappears. Who love you but don't know you. Home doesn't feel like home anymore. The only place you feel normal is the compound. With the guys who understand. The question comes up. Was it worth it? You think about the targets eliminated. The hostages saved. The attacks prevented that nobody knows about. You'll never know the full impact. You'll never get a thank you. You'll never be able to explain what you did. But people are alive because you killed the right monsters. Families are whole because you brought their loved ones home. Maybe that's enough. It has to be enough. You don't regret the work. You regret the cost. The marriage that failed. The kids who grew up without you. The normal life that was never possible. But the work itself, the missions, the men you serve with, no regrets. You did what needed to be done. You did it well. You did it for years. Not everyone can say that. Not everyone got the chance. You think about the guys who didn't make it through selection. The guys who washed out of OTC. The guys who wanted to be here but couldn't. You made it. You earned your place. You did the work. That means something. Even if you can never explain it to anyone, eventually, even Delta operators age out. The body gives. The mind needs rest. You transition. Training command. Contractor work. Government consulting. Or you disappear entirely. A new name. A new life. Someone who was never in the military at all. The silence is forever. You can never talk about what you did. Not to family, not to therapists, not to anyone without clearance. The missions are classified forever. The operations you conducted will still be secret when your grandchildren are old. You carry it alone. That's the price of admission. But you're not entirely alone. The men who served with you, the ones who were there, the brotherhood that doesn't need words, a nod at an airport, a drink at a bar in a city you both happen to be in. No explanation needed. They know. You know. That's enough. You meet for beers, for dinners, for funerals. The funerals are the hardest. Watching a flag-draped coffin. Knowing the family will never understand what he really did. What he really was. The cover story is always the same. Training accident. Vehicle crash. Something mundane that explains the death without explaining the life. You stand with the other guys from the unit. You don't say anything. You don't have to. Later you drink to him. You tell stories, the missions you can reference without details. The moments that made him who he was. He's gone. But the brotherhood remains. The network of men who serve together, who bled together, who understand that's the only support system you have. The only one you'll ever need. There are no statues for Delta operators, no movies with your real name, no books you can write. But the world is different because you existed. The terrorists who were never caught by anyone else, you caught them. The hostages who came home, you brought them. You were the nation's darkest weapon, pointed at its worst enemies. You did things that can never be spoken, in places that can never be named. Against people the world is better without. You were a ghost who killed ghosts, and now you're something else. A civilian, a father, a man with no past. But late at night, when the dreams come, you remember. The breaches, the raids, the faces. You remember everything. You were Delta, you were the best. The breaches, the raids, the faces, the compound at night, the killing house. The endless repetitions that made you what you are. The teammates who became brothers. The ones who are still alive. The ones who aren't. The targets who thought they were untouchable, they weren't. The hostages who thought they would die in a dark room somewhere, they didn't. The world that sleeps peacefully because men like you exist. Because men like you are willing to do the things that can't be talked about. You are the sharp end of the spear, the quiet professionals, the men who don't exist. And now you're something else, someone else. But you were here, you did this, you mattered, even if no one ever knows. That's the legacy of Delta, the unit, CAG, whatever name they're using now. Men who were never here. Men who changed everything, and you were one of them. Somewhere right now, a squadron is spinning up, helicopters warming on a flight line, operators checking their gear one last time, A target is being hunted. A mission is being planned. The work continues. New guys coming through selection, earning their place, becoming what you were. The unit endures. The mission continues. The enemy knows fear. Because men like you exist. Because men like you are willing to go where others can't. Do what others won't. You were Delta. And even though you're gone, even though you've moved on, part of you is still there. Still in the stack. Still waiting for the breach. Once a quiet professional. Always a quiet professional. You were never here. But you changed everything.